Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when and where you are consuming this episode of Primility Primer. This is Primility Primer, our morning reminder of the power of balancing pride and humility as we go about our daily lives. This is episode number 63. I am your host, Jared Morris, and it is Thursday, which means it is time for another edition of Thank You Thursday. And this is typically the episode each week where I write a thank you note and I share that thank you note with you. The whole idea being kind of lead on this day in expressing gratitude so that hopefully you will be inspired to do the same. But I don't have a thank you note to share today, but it's not because I am not feeling gratitude on this Thursday. It's actually because I was feeling so much gratitude when I woke up that I couldn't narrow down who to write the thank you note for. So I'm going to tell you here in just a second. I've got a list of people that I want to express some gratitude for. But as I was just getting prepared to go live on air, I had a thought, and I want to run it by you because I haven't really vetted this yet. I don't know, if it's something that I'll still believe in, later on today. I'd like to get your thoughts on it. But I was writing out the blog post. And I said, but I'll use today's primer to express my abundance of gratitude and then find a way to let everyone I talk about know how I feel. So even though I don't have a thank you note, I still plan on letting these people know how I feel. And the next line is because gratitude is nothing but selfish expression if we don't make the effort to communicate it to the people responsible for our feelings. Because think about it. I think we've all by now heard of the scientific studies about how feeling gratitude, being intentional about our gratitude makes us feel better. It makes us happier, makes people less depressed, all of these benefits that we get out of feeling the gratitude. But if we just, write it in a gratitude journal or think about it or say it, or if I just come on here and say it on this Primility Primer, but I don't actually tell it to the people who are responsible for this feeling, really, I'm only getting selfish benefit out of it. I'm feeling better. It's getting my day started out well. It's giving me an episode of Primility Primer, all of these other benefits that I'm getting. But what are the people getting who actually did something to make me feel this gratitude? So that's why I think certainly we have to feel gratitude first, and we have to cultivate intentional ways to step back and make sure that we recognize the times when we should feel gratitude, when we could feel gratitude, and make sure that we're doing it. But the expression of it is so important, and actual action in response to that feeling of gratitude that lets that person know. Because again, the whole idea is reinforce whatever it was that they did. So not only that they'll do it for you again, or so that that will continue, but so that they continue doing it for other people, and so that it just continues to push these positive feelings of gratitude out there in the world. So that's kind of my thought on that. Now, feelings of gratitude. Last night, I did an episode of the Assembly Call, which is the Indiana University basketball postgame show that I host, but we also do some off-season episodes. And my co-host for that, Andy Bottoms, Ryan Phillips, these are guys that 4 years ago, when I had this crazy idea for a postgame show, they were all about it. And they have been there with me doing this for 4 years. And every time when it comes up to the new season and we've decided that we're going to do it, this year there wasn't any question. In past seasons, there has been question if we're going to continue doing it. I always feel an immense sense of gratitude to these two guys because I talk about the Assembly Call a lot. I use it here as examples. I use it at work as examples of running a podcast, running a site. And obviously I get a ton of joy out of doing it. And we've built something really special over there. And it would not be possible without those two guys, without the analysis they provide, without the camaraderie, without the teamwork, just without, that shared responsibility that they help me carry on. And so as the season progresses, I always feel really grateful to them. And I was certainly feeling that after last night when I woke up this morning, because I'm really excited to embark on this next season and excited to be doing it with them for the 5th straight season. And when it comes to the Assembly Call, it's not just those two guys that I'm really grateful for. It's also the members of the audience. Last night, Megan, at Tax Megan on Twitter, she was there watching our off-season episode. We actually did a new episode, or we used a new format. We use Blab. We've usually used Google Hangouts, and we decided to use Blab for this episode. And so she was giving us her thoughts on it, said that she liked it. And I remarked, Megan, you've been here since the very beginning. You saw when the show was just on Blog Talk Radio, just kind of this really cheesy sounding call-in show on our phones, all the way to now where the production value is much higher, and obviously we're much better at what we do. And man, that was just a great moment of recognition for how much she has meant to the growth of the show and to the show still being around. Because in some of those tough moments when we thought about, maybe we can't really keep doing this, you think about people like Megan, who even in the off season are there listening, even when she's watching a Cubs playoff game, is there listening to the show and just providing her support. And it's incredible. And so just feeling immense feelings of gratitude for her as well. So thank you, Megan, for all of your support, both literal and just everything, moral support, all of it. It's meant so much to us and what the show has become. And finally, I've got to say thank you to my mom and dad. When I woke up this morning, I decided to turn on a podcast, and I listened to the latest episode of Freakonomics. I'll link the episode, primility.com/show/063, or just go to the Freakonomics feed in iTunes or whatever, and you'll get it. But the basic point of the episode, they were telling the story about Philip Buchanan, who's an ex-NFL player, and how when he got drafted, his mother basically demanded that he pay $1 million, which was basically payback for everything that she had done for him for the first 18 years of his life to get him to that point. So the whole episode is about, should kids feel an obligation to pay their parents back, and how there are differences culturally that, make this different in different cultures and all this stuff. And, it made me think about my parents, who have never once asked me for anything, but yet have always been there and been willing to provide at any time. I mean, even to the point where as I've gotten older and it's, I've wanted to spread my wings and stand on my own 2 feet, where I've had to say, no, I need to do this on my own. And it's funny because, there have been moments where that's happened and, you get frustrated, or I've gotten frustrated, where it's like they're doing too much. And, then sometimes you step back and you just need a little bit of perspective, where it's like, yeah, but this guy's mom is asking him for $1 million, and to have parents who are so willing to provide support, and that, in your times of need, that they're going to be there and their hand is never out. All they really want is respect and love back from you, and for you to be a good person. I feel incredibly grateful to have 2 parents like that. And I feel like I've learned a ton of great lessons from them, and just feeling a lot of gratitude for them too. I mean, I feel gratitude for them all the time, but it's just the interesting perspective of hearing this guy on this incredibly celebratory day. He's a first-round draft pick, and he's already planning on buying his mom a house and a car. Like, it's not like he's going to be selfish about it, at least according to how he tells the story. And then his mom turns around with her hand out and says, "You owe me $1 million." That's crazy. It's crazy. So thank you, Mom and Dad, for never requesting $1 million, because I couldn't pay it anyway. But I appreciate that. So those are all the people I'm feeling thankful for. I could go on and on. The goal now is to make sure somehow today that I let them know that. It may not be a handwritten thank you note. Maybe it's an email. Maybe it's a call. Maybe it's a text. Some way to let them know. And now I turn it over to you, and I issue the challenge to you. Who are you feeling grateful for today? Who can you say thank you to today? And what way can you express it? It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to take long. It can be simple, but it's one of the great acts of primility that we can do, is to not only cultivate feelings of gratitude, but then express those feelings of gratitude. So go out, express those feelings of gratitude. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you listening to this episode of Primility Primer. We'll be back tomorrow with our final new episode of the week. Until then, stay cognizant of your pride and your humility. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Wrist bump.